Hi, everyone, and welcome to the New Age of Influence discussion. Today, we are going to talk about how TikTok creators are redefining influence on the platform and how that's really impacting the way that brands and marketers show up and make content. I'll start things off by introducing myself. My name is Emily Anderson, and I'm a global creative strategist at TikTok, and I'll be moderating a discussion between three industry leaders on the topic of creator marketing. But before we dive into the discussion, I want to give some context for why we're doing this, why you're here today listening to me blab. And really, I don't know about you, but I feel different when I use TikTok compared to when I use other platforms. And I noticed that even before I started working at TikTok. And we believe that a lot of that has to do with creators and the way that they're doing things differently on the platform. And they're building a creative community that feels very special and very unique. Instead of aspirational content, they come to the table with their real selves. They focus a lot on entertainment and authenticity over things like envy or trying to have a polished persona. And all of that helps them form deep connections with their viewers, which fuels a lot of the good feeling and the enthusiasm and joy that people have when they use the platform. You know, that sense that I was talking about just feeling really good while you're on TikTok. And creators' new approach to making content also represents just a larger shift in what people want from digital content. Humor and sincerity and just sort of unpolished videos go a really long way on TikTok compared to other places. And that applies to brand videos as much as videos that don't feature brands. And we really wanted to understand why, right? Like we knew all of this to be true, just observing the platform on the marketing team here at TikTok. We could tell that these things were the case, but we didn't really know why, which meant we couldn't really tell brands why. And we couldn't help brands understand how creators in the TikTok community were shaping the way that everyone should show up. So to figure out that why, we commissioned a global study from the market research organization HotSpecs. That study is called Creators Like Me. And it really set out to figure out three things. One, which is what is different about TikTok creator content, right? Like we'd made all these observations about what we thought were different, and we wanted to make sure that we were correct. Two, how that content that's different, how does that impact brand perceptions? How does it affect the way people on TikTok actually feel about the brands that they see on the platform? And then three, how those perceptions affect consumer behavior. What impact is this content having on people's likelihood to purchase things or just overall interact with a brand? The research results really found that creator content often embodies three key values, which are authenticity, trust, and participation. And those three values will be the basis of a lot of what we'll talk to today with our panel of experts. So when we say authenticity, what we really mean is the act of being your true self on the platform. And then when you do that, when creators are authentic and they are their true selves, that leads into trust and credibility, you know, the bond that they have with their community. And lastly, when we talk about participation, we're referring to co-creation, you know, the inclusive creative environment that's very prevalent on TikTok that gives just about anybody a chance to jump in on a conversation if they want to. And those aren't the only things that are special about creators, of course, but they do give a strong sense of how influence on TikTok may look different from influence on other platforms. All right, that's enough from me. Let's meet our panelists who will give their perspective on the research findings and this topic overall. So I'll turn things over to Adrian. Why don't you introduce yourself first and then just popcorn it over to the other panelists?
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Emily. My name is Adrienne Lahens, and I lead global operations for creator marketing solutions at TikTok. And our focus is essentially twofold. It's to help brands create really fantastic marketing initiatives on TikTok in partnership with creators. And it's also to help creators monetize on TikTok through branded content and creator marketing.
Okay, awesome. My name is Andrea Casanova. I am an entrepreneur and business content creator, and I'm a viral marketer. I essentially help people strategize on TikTok as well as create awesome content for small business owners in the Latino community on TikTok on how to grow their brand and also their businesses and just thrive in this new digital era.
Hi, my name is Tony Weaver Jr. I wear a lot of different hats, but on TikTok, I wear this hat. I am a proponent for positive representation and the power of stories, and everything that I do is kind of linked to that. So I run a nonprofit called Weird Enough Productions, where we create original, diverse series in order to support and uplift positive representation for minorities in media. And on TikTok, I'm constantly talking about representation, community, and anime. So that's a bit about me.
Love it. I can't think of a better group of people to talk about this topic. And so the first question I have, just as a general way to ease in, it's a fun one. It's not like a super theoretical one. Not yet. Those are coming later.
Mm, mm,
So I mentioned that our research had a lot of insights about authenticity and the fact that users feel that TikTok creators are very authentic. 64% of viewers actually say that TikTok creator content feels authentic. So this question is for everyone. What is your favorite community on TikTok where you feel the most authentic or where you just have the most fun? We'll start with you, Andrea.
Well, I love my Latino community and the small business community. I feel like there's so much love there, so much mutual support, even if they're competitors. I see so many people in different industries, but even if there's a lot of competition and saturation, which I don't really believe in, there's a lot of love and support. And I also do love manifestation talk, but frog talk has my heart. I just love, love, love going and scrolling through my For You page and just coming across a really cute frog video. I don't know how the algorithm figured out that I like them, but it's really wholesome and I just love looking at them.
Tony, how about you?
It's pretty ironic to say. I talk about anime a lot. I'm an anime voice actor. But anime TikTok is actually not where I spend most of my time when I'm watching videos. I really like dancing videos, but sounds pretty straightforward. But something about the combinations, it just gets me. It's engaging. I told my team, I was like, listen, if I wasn't running this company, I would be in Atlanta somewhere at a park just dancing. Okay, and like multiverse Tony that's dancing in Centennial Park right now is having a wonderful time. Very much so.
I
I
love
believe
that.
this.
I'm vibing with
Yeah.
him. I'm supporting him from afar. That's amazing.
How about you, Adrian?
I first of all, I love dance TikTok as well. I also really love comedy talk. And so I come to TikTok a lot when I need a little pick me up, or especially like in between a couple of meetings, I might just pick up my phone and watch some TikToks. And so I love all of the variety of comedy that is on the platform. The community that really has my heart on TikTok is the grandparents of TikTok. There's this like misconception, of course, that TikTok is for younger folks, but that's absolutely not true. The grandparents of TikTok are all over the platform and they are just so wholesome, so amazing and entertaining. I love the old gays. I love Lily Hayes. I love cooking with Linja. So just so much great content for such diverse audiences and communities.
As we were doing this research and reading back how many different findings we had about authenticity, we started to wonder why it's so big on TikTok. This question is for everyone again. What cultural changes do you think are behind the trend toward authenticity? And on top of that, how do you see those changes impacting TikTok differently than other platforms? Tony, let's start with you.
I think that the largest trend, I don't know, I don't know that I would call it a cultural trend, but it's a trend nonetheless. Is that people are tired. People are tired. All this highly produced social media content is extremely tiring. It's very taxing. And in a lot of ways creates a larger barrier between people. So many people that I think prior to TikTok didn't had a funny joke, but they didn't think that they could actually make a video about their joke because, oh, my camera doesn't look good, or my lighting's not right. Right, you get on TikTok, it's like, listen, my camera might be blurry, my audio is going to clip, and I'm in my mom's basement, but this is funny, right? And people can still get like millions of views and lots of engagement if the core of the content is actually quality.
100% I agree with Tony. It's all about like the lack of polishing that is on TikTok that we see in other platforms. And in addition to that, I also think that Gen Z has played a role in how we perceive information now, where they're great at holding brands, people, and organizations accountable. So at this point, people have no option but to show up in the most authentic light that they can. TikTok has really done a good job at highlighting Black voices, Latino voices, Indigenous voices, so that we're able to see a different side of the story that's not the traditional white influencer that we've always seen historically in other platforms. So I think that it's a combination of all these efforts, both the production value, Generation Z being so outspoken and wanting to push for a better future, and also the highlighting of the voices and the people that drive these cultural trends in the first place.
Yeah, and just to add to that from a brand perspective, I think on TikTok, what we see is brands really showing up on the platform, the brands who are doing really great work and connecting with audiences in really authentic ways. They're showing up on the platform and they're not taking themselves too seriously. And they're really focused on how to really engage with the communities on TikTok and really humanizing their brands and showing the sort of like person or the kind of human element as they're creating content on the platform or interacting on the platform. And I think that is something also that's a bit unique on TikTok, where brands feel a little bit more sort of agency or kind of permission to, put their very strict brand guidelines aside and really just show up and be really, true to the audiences that they're serving. And I think that that's also one of the key ways that TikTok is helping brands to connect on a more sort of real level.
So we know that TikTok is working toward enabling authenticity, and while the creators are the ones that are creating the culture in which authenticity is respected and even expected, we also know that the platform is creating tools to enable that in some way. So I'm curious to hear from you, Adrian. What efforts is TikTok taking to enable creators further to be authentic on the platform? You just touched on it a little bit, but are there any other additional features or philosophies that the platform uses to ensure this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, TikTok is an entertainment platform centered around community, right? And what that does is it enables real and true connections. And it's essentially, creating and defining culture both on and off the platform. And some of the kind of elements that really help aid in that is the fact that TikTok is a sound on platform. And so it really drives that connection on such a deeper level because viewers can be 100% engaged when they're watching TikTok on the platform. You can't watch TikTok and do something else at the same time. Like, you are fully engaged in experiencing that content and engaging with that community. The second piece too is that TikTok also has several, creative and editing tools, which also makes it really easy to be creative on the platform, and it really democratizes creativity for everyone, sort of as we've all kind of described as well.
Allowing creators to be authentic while also having a brand with like objectives and KPIs can sometimes be a little bit of a struggle. And in recent history, brands have, not all brands, not all the time, but a lot of times brands have dictated to creators basically what to do in a promotion, how to promote their brands, but that can make it really hard to be authentic. So I'm curious to hear from Andrea and Tony, what does a good brief from a brand look like? Basically, how can a brand give you enough information about what they want to get out of the campaign without hindering your creativity?
100%. I think that brands need to understand that a brand collaboration is at the end of the day a collaboration, right? It's a partnership. It's two entities coming together and merging forces so we can tell a story. And I think that the issue that I keep seeing in the industry is the fact that the brand wants to be in full control and full creative control. And they're trying to tell someone else who's already tapped into the community, who's already loyal to the community, and vice versa, how to tell a story to them and how to sell to them when they already know. So the best thing that you can do in this scenario is to obviously have your brand guidelines, what they should say, what they should not say, what are your goals for your campaign, right? What do you want to get out of it? How are you going to see that return on investment for your brand? And in addition to that as well, what values and belief systems you also want them to carry on through their content. However, when it comes to the actual storytelling, you need to give them some creative freedom so they can play around and tell the story in a way where it looks like the same other content that there's out there. Let me do the storytelling, because at the end of the day, I already have that audience for a reason.
Absolutely.
When I think of good brand partnerships, I think the first brand briefing kind of property that comes to mind is one that's early. You come to me early. Don't come to me after you put 90% of everything together and expect me to be like a sock puppet, because whatever you put together probably is not going to resonate in the way that you think it's going to resonate. So showing up early in the process gives an opportunity for us to actually collaborate on what we're working on. I think secondly, it's coming up with a clear goal in mind. So when you come speak to me, I hope that there's a clear goal of what you want us to work towards together. And when I say goal, I mean singular. Like one video is not doing everything. Are you trying to raise awareness of a specific thing? Are you trying to get engagement on a specific thing? Do you want more followers to get sent directly to your page? Because when people show up and talk to creators and they say, we want this one video to tell people about our new movie and get people to follow our account and get people making their own content, participating in this trend. Like, when it doesn't work, you're going to look at me like I did something wrong when you didn't show up with a concise ask. It's not a flash in the pan, one size fits all type thing. And I think the best brand briefings and collaborations are people that understand that.
Yeah, Tony, I think you bring up such a great point too about being really specific about the goals and objectives of the campaign and what the creator, like what success looks like for the campaign and for that content. Because at the end of the day, there's different creative strategies that map to different outcomes, right? So like campaign that's driving towards engagements versus a campaign that's driving towards sales versus a campaign that's driving towards awareness, like each of those creative concepts and the actual execution of that creative is going to look and feel different. And so you want to be really prescriptive when you're working with the creator around what your goals and expectations are. But at the same time, you want to allow them to really have the creative freedom to meet their audiences in the way that ultimately like is going to be best received by those audiences that they know best.
Rather than using creators strictly as like forward facing film talent, you can also use them as basically consultants. Because to your point, Andrea, creators know the platform extraordinarily well, and those insights can actually help the brand fill in gaps that they may not have. And so just it's a slight adjustment in the relationship between the brand and the creators. It can be very mutually beneficial. And when brands do successfully work with a creator in that sense and bring them on early in and let them have a lot of creative input, that content is then seen by viewers, and those viewers can feel that that content is more aligned with what that creator is doing, right? You can automatically sort of tell when a video on TikTok conflicts with what you're used to seeing from that creator. And when it doesn't conflict and it does feel real, users respond really well to that. They view that content as very credible, very, very believable. 67% of viewers say that TikTok creator videos actually feel credible and real, and that impacts purchase decisions. 71% of viewers say that qualities related to a creator's authenticity actually motivated them to buy from a brand. TikTok has the power to influence people to buy things. I don't want to tell you what I've bought on TikTok because it is embarrassing, but I do want to hear from you all what you've bought as a result of seeing it on TikTok.
I got an electric bag, the ones that you utilize inside your home and actually work out with. I've gotten blushes, my entire bed sheets, my kitchen. I got a kettle, an electric kettle too, that lights up with blue light when like you use it. And yeah, I'm just realizing how sad this is. Embarrassing. I've gotten everything off of TikTok, and as long as I'm getting it also from small businesses, because I do buy a lot from small businesses, a lot of jewelry, a lot of like eyelashes, makeup. There's this girl on TikTok that also sells like anime based makeup where she grabs like your favorite anime and it's like those colors. And I'm like, wow, that's so dope. So I've gotten a lot of things off of TikTok. I love it.
Yeah, I'm definitely a sucker for anything that is beauty oriented or skincare routines. And I love all of the like before and after reviews or like when the creators are showcasing the product and really kind of like explaining. And also the fact that, we talked about it before, right? TikTok is a sound on platform. You're fully immersed in the experience when you're watching TikTok. And so seeing the creators really describing the products, using the products, washing their face, applying the makeup, etc., it's really compelling to purchase. So I've definitely clicked that button multiple times.
There's a specific brand of mayonnaise that I use that has been out of stock for the last 3 months because of TikTok. I can't even get it from the regular Asian grocery store. I have to go to this like random specialty Japanese shop. It's like 20 minutes from my house because they can't keep them in stock because of TikTok. It's mayonnaise. It's mayonnaise.
Remember
Who?
when feta cheese and ricotta cheese were like off the shelves last year because of that pasta that you used to
Yep.
put in like the oven? And I'm like, what is wrong with people?
Yes, feta cheese selling out globally was not on my bingo card for 2021, but and another differentiator about TikTok that comes partially from the fact that there's, not as much of a barrier to entry is the number of creators that can, speak for a brand. Like you were saying, Tony, it doesn't necessarily have to be someone who has 10 million followers in order for it to be successful. And a lot of that has to do with the way that viewers are shown content, right? Following doesn't have as much of a bearing on success on TikTok the way it does on virtually all other platforms, right? Because I don't know about you all, but the only time I ever go to my follow tab is when I upload a video and the platform automatically takes me there. Otherwise, I'm on the For You page, which is a combination of people that I follow and people that I don't follow. And so what that means is as long as a creator is really tapped into their community and have a strong relationship with that community and have a strong sense of credibility, they are going to drive success, whether they have 500 followers or 500,000 followers. So there's a very large pool of viable creators for brands to work with. So I'm curious to hear from Adrian, how is TikTok actually enabling brands to access this vast pool and work with the creators that can best drive their campaign goals?
Yeah, absolutely. So the TikTok Creator Marketplace, we've scaled tremendously over the last 6 months. We've grown to over 500,000 creators in TTCM globally. It is a platform and it is a place for creators who are on the more micro side. And we have a number of products, whether it is, there's several different ways that you can work with creators on TTCM. First, you can go through the process of a direct invitation, the more kind of traditional creator influencer marketing plan where you are custom curating a list of creators who you want to work with as a brand, and you are reaching out to them directly, one by one in this direct invitation format. The second option is through open application campaigns, and that's where you can create a creative brief. You can post that to a more a wider group of creators, but you can also tailor it according to the follower size or some of the high level parameters. You can set those high level parameters, but you can post that open application to a broader segment of creators. And those creators can then self-apply if they are interested in working with that brand. And what we love about the open application campaign product is it really democratizes the selection process. It gives more agency to creators to raise their hand on brands that maybe didn't reach out to them initially, but they really want to work with. And then it also helps brands to discover net new creators that they might not have considered for that campaign because they had no idea how passionate those creators were about their brand, or how eligible they were for that campaign without the creator pitching themselves for that opportunity.
I'm having a thought, so hopefully I can articulate this in a way that makes sense. But it's sort of similar to the For You page in a way, right? Where you're like, yeah, you're going to see content that you're probably used to seeing based on what you've seen before, but we're also going to show you things that you may not exactly be used to. And it sounds like it's the same sort of paradigm on Creator Marketplace where, yeah, you can get the exact thing that you're looking for, but also we're going to show you things that maybe you haven't considered. And just that like slightly elevated step has that element of discovery to it that is part of what makes, to me at least, makes TikTok feel like such a place that feels fun and feels engaging, because it never feels like it's an echo chamber the way other places can, right?
Yeah, no, and you're so spot on, Emily, because this is really just the first step. Open application campaigns in the way that we just described is really just the first step towards what we're talking about here, which is really creating these custom recommendations and powering creator marketing campaigns on TikTok in a way that really leans into the power of the For You feed on the TikTok platform. So you can sort of imagine where we're going with that. But that's very much in line. And sometimes we forget a bit. This might sound a little bit cliche, but marketing is an art and a science. And over the last 10 years, we have really leaned very heavily into the science part. And now TikTok is really bringing the art back into marketing in a really big way. The data part and the targeting part and the paid media part is all crucial to a successful creator marketing campaign. And it's really the marriage of the two, right? It's the data, it's the targeting, it's also leaning into the creator and not forgetting about the creativity that will ultimately drive the best outcomes and the best results for your brand, whatever that might be. And I think recently there's been more leaning on the one side of it, on the science side, and kind of forgetting a little bit about the creative part.
Totally. And when brands do lean on the creative part, they do see a lot of success because creators, Andrea and Tony, you've been mentioning this. Creators know what they're doing. They know their audience extremely well. They know them better than anyone else. And when brands really let them be themselves and speak to that audience in the way that they know how, they're going to have more impact because the content will feel a lot more credible and will connect better with viewers. So I'm curious to hear from both of you. What are some things that you know about your audience specifically that informs the way you make content?
Me particularly, I cater to the small business community, the Latino community, and I think that's something that even got me on the platform in the first place was that I wasn't seeing a lot of Latinos being represented when it came to business and entrepreneurship and marketing. Like I would see a lot of Latinas specifically making a lot of entertainment content and skits and whatnot. And though I love that, I also want Latinos to be represented as the business moguls and powerhouses that they are, and the value that we bring to the table when it comes to education, when it comes to entertainment, business, from this standpoint, right? From the behind the scenes, not just a nice actor, actress on TV that's historical for that, but rather the emphasis on you can also build a business, you can also be super successful. What are you getting out of consuming my content? Am I helping you in any way to be a better person than you were yesterday or to be in a better position? So and I know that Tony does so much for his community with his nonprofit, so I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you know about your community, Tony.
I think that everyone that kind of falls under my flag in terms of being a nerd, at some point in time, we faced some kind of pushback for who we are, what we look like, what we like, things like that. So whenever I make content, my first idea, the thing that I think about more than anything else is safety. Like I want to be a place where the people in my audience feel safe. I want to be a place where they feel like you can show up and nerd out about this thing and I'm not going to judge you for it. I will nerd out with you. Even if it's a show that I don't particularly like. If you like it, I want to hear about I want to hear about why you like it. That kind of spirit of safety and community is something that's really important to people. And I think that that's the driving factor behind a lot of what I make and what I do. How can I kind of play defense for them while they kind of get their strength up so that they can do it themselves?
Yeah, and what I'm hearing from both of you is that it seems like you feel that TikTok gives more of an opportunity to really have that type of relationship with people as much as you can have a
Yeah.
relationship with someone on the internet, right?
Yeah.
And I know, Andrea, you've strategized for many other platforms. And I'm curious if you have any thoughts on why TikTok specifically, or is there something, even if it's just about the people on the platform, not necessarily the functionality of it itself, is there something that makes it a place where that type of connection can happen?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it all comes down to participation and the fact that everyone has a voice and has an opportunity to add into some sort of conversation. Like it's not about the fact that, oh, I'm a creator, I have a voice, I can talk about certain things. It's as easy as duetting the video, stitching a video. Like TikTok gives you so many opportunities to hop on the conversation itself, even on the comments alone. I feel like just brands in general are able to highlight their archetype and their personality when they're leaving these comments, giving them an additional interaction with their audience, and it's just as easy as that. Like, you don't have to overthink it. That's the thing. It's also comes down to what we were talking about earlier. It's the production value. It's like on other platforms I have to edit either like a 20-minute long vlog or video, and I have to have like very cool animation so that it performs better, so there's call to actions and whatnot. And then on other platforms it might be a very curated photo at, a very big festival. But on TikTok it's as easy as just creating with whatever you have in that moment, and that you just need a smartphone for that. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's the participation, it's the ability to create and hop in conversations that you normally wouldn't, and that's just the beauty of TikTok.
Yeah, you read my mind because participation is a massive part of the research findings that we had. And we also know that just like creatively and in terms of entertainment, it is something that does stand out as a feature on TikTok and has a huge influence on how much people want to be on the platform. 62% of viewers say they were inspired to make their own content after seeing a creator video. And just the concept of co-creation on TikTok is fascinating, because that type of behavior on other platforms is actually shunned, right? Like to take someone else's content and remix it or use it in some way, is like, it's not going to fly in a lot of places. But on TikTok,
Hmm.
that's the expectation, and it's really fueling a lot of fueling a lot of enthusiasm that people have over the content on the platform, right? Because A, there's shared buy-in because they've participated in this trend, and B, they feel like they have a shot at contributing to this conversation. So I'm curious to hear from all of you. I think that co-creation is something that is also particularly intimidating for brands because it's so new and because it's so different from what other platforms are expecting. And so a question that we get a lot is like, how do I actually participate? How can I do this? I've never done this before. So what is a popular or effective way for brands to either participate or enable participation, so that audiences can engage with them? Is it, something as simple as leaving a comment or something like that?
It's as easy as that, in my opinion. It's just as starting to leave comments, even if you're not fully comfortable with the platform just yet. I think that you will be as you're consuming it and as you're going and scrolling through your For You page. So start leaving comments, start interacting that way, start liking things. Like, people notice when a brand does like their stuff. So if you're actively liking the videos that they make about you organically, you're telling them, hey, I care about this and I'm watching you. So it's just as easy as being part of that conversation. Even if you don't think you have the right things to say and whatnot, it's just a matter of what opinion do you have as a brand and where do you stand in this place, so that the audience of the people that you're partnering with or your audience itself can engage in a conversation with you.
Yeah, my advice would be dip your toes in, right? Like, it's show up on the platform. If you're a marketer and you're not on TikTok, you need to be on TikTok. You need to be understanding what audiences are consuming, what your consumers are watching on TikTok in order to best market to them anywhere. And so many trends are starting on TikTok and they're ending up in other places. So if you're not on TikTok, you're already two steps behind. And there's absolutely a crawl, walk, run to this. There's, showing up on the platform, consuming the content yourself as a marketer is step one, right? Step two is participating. So showing up and commenting on videos, right? There's three tips that I'll give. Comment on existing videos, participating in the conversation, humanizing your brand, engaging with the community. Second is to use comments as inspiration to develop your own creative strategy, test and learn. Use comments as a focus group for your brand. And the third is reply to comments with videos. And that also is kind of bringing those two pieces together where you're really leaning into the community around the creative strategy piece. You're testing and learning, but then you're driving that engagement with the community with content that that they will enjoy because they've specifically asked for it, or they've specifically commented in a way that you can really engage and reply.
I think that participation angle is really important. And I'll push it further when I say, like, as a brand, if you want to engage a community, you need to be a part of that community. Literally, that's what it means. Being a good steward of your resources and using those resources to support the community that you want to be a part of. I think very often brands assume that if they're not at the forefront of the conversation or if the spotlight isn't on them, then they're not getting their ROI. Sometimes you have to take a back seat and be present. And I think that really what it's about is that it's that brand presence. And as long as you're clear on what your brand values are, it should be very clear to you how to show up in that way.
And I think that on TikTok, it's so important to understand what your brand archetype is. If anything, that's the most important part of when it comes to messaging, it's understanding that you're not always going to be that one edgy brand that leaves funny comments. You don't have to be. You can adapt to whatever your voice has been consistently throughout the years. And yes, you can try new mediums and storytelling avenues, but that does not mean that your core values should change every time someone uploads the videos. Because at the end of the day, that what that's telling users is that you don't care as much about your brand and your belief systems the way that you would be, or the way that you should be caring, right? So people are always like, be relatable, be relatable. That does not mean you have to be the same as everyone else. Be relatable for the people that you need to be relatable for, rather than everyone else's. I have 4 keys whenever it comes to virality and whenever it comes to being standing out within the platform, rather, and it's repetition, keep repeating rather than trying to always define or like redo the wheel. I don't know how the saying actually goes, but like stop trying to do new things and try to figure out what sticks for you and what has worked and keep repeating that. Then the second one is familiarity. How can your audience know that they're looking at you based on the first word that you say on the videos, based on how you look in the videos? It's like find verbal or visual cues that allow you to really stand out. The third one is uniqueness. Don't try to be like everyone else. Try to find something that's unique to you, even if that's the way that your mannerisms, the way that you speak, or the way that your brand talks about things. And lastly is relatability for the people that you need to be relatable for, not for everyone else.
So, a lot of what we've been saying about the authenticity of brands stems from participation. And again, TikTok has a lot of built in tools that really enable that. Our audio feature is very different from competitors. Duet and Stitch are very different. We really have these, actual functionalities within the platform that let people participate. And I'm curious to hear from Adrian. Why do you think TikTok is so cognizant of the value of participation, and why do you think the platform has leaned into it so much?
Yeah, I think it's really the combination of what we've been talking about, which is really reinventing the way we all tell stories, the way we tell stories as creators, the way we tell stories as brands. And it's really inviting brands to learn this new language and reconnect with their audiences in a unique way. And it goes back to what Andrea was saying as well, which is that brands have always been really focused on targeting very specific demographics, right? And demographics no longer define consumers. I'll give myself as an example. So I'm a mom, I'm in my 30s, I live in LA, so I'm an urban, I live in an urban area, but I'm so much more than that, right? My husband is a first generation Haitian. And so we are a multicultural family. I am executive. I very focus on my work. I love to travel. I really appreciate very particular types of comedy, especially, really bold female stand-up comedians. I absolutely love that type of comedy because it really resonates with me in my sort of career. And I'm really into health and fitness. I love the arts, and I grew up going to Broadway shows in New York City. And so there's all these different ways that you can reach me and tap into interests and passions, one of the best ways to do that is through like-minded people who can really resonate with me and connect with me on on a real emotive level.
It's so interesting that you say that because, yeah, it really feels like, on a lot of platforms, a lot of the time, again, no blanket statements, but it can often feel like influence is a one-way monologue where the people who have the influence are talking at the people that are following them or listening to them in some way. Whereas what you were just describing, Andrea, is sort of like a two-way dialogue between creator and viewer, right? You're not just getting on the platform and saying, here's what I did. You're interacting a lot more. And I think that has a lot of impact on how much people are interested in what they see on the platform. We know that 57% of viewers say creators seem like someone they would engage with. And when you're on a platform where people feel like someone you would engage with, you're probably having a better time. So it's a leveling, right? It feels like viewers and creators are on a more even field than perhaps on other platforms, which adds to a lot of the magic of the platform for sure. So let's talk about comments. We've mentioned them a few times, and they are their own kind of entertainment on TikTok. And they can also be kind of a little bit of an unknown point for brands. I know that there's also this concern that perhaps if they leave the comments open, something might happen in there. And a question that we get a lot, and a common issue for a lot of brands, is what do I do with the section on my video, particularly if it doesn't get the response that I was looking for. And I know that generally speaking, completely turning off the comments is usually not advised. So if you had to give advice to a brand about what to do, not just how to show up in other people's comments, but what to do with their own comment section, particularly in moments where they may not love what's happening in the comment section, what would you say to them?
Do the
I would
work.
say leave it open. Yeah, I would say leave it open. I think that it's a matter of just letting people vent. If you give them a space to vent, they're going to utilize that space rather than go into other platforms. That's what you don't want to do, because the thing is, when you limit your comments or when you completely get rid of them, then they're going to go everywhere else. So it's actually a smart move, even from a PR standpoint, to leave them and give your audience a space to vent and just take the heat. We all do that at a certain point. When us creators get hate comments, Tony, it's more about the fact that someone disagrees with something that we're saying or whatever that is, right? But when you're a brand and you don't play your cards right, it could be catastrophic for you. So rather, like, just take accountability and, actually same and name steps in which you're going to actually try to get better, rather than just be like, haha, sorry. Give them a space to vent and just take it like a champ.
There are there are two ways to look at this if you're a brand. Like if you are a large enough brand that you can go and pay an agency a monthly retainer, you got haters. And they've been hating on you anyway. You just can't hear them because when you play commercials, they can't talk back to you through the screen. Social media just happens to be a place where the two-way communication model really takes hold. So, number one, by turning off the comments, it's not like you're stopping anything that wasn't already going on. People have been hating anyway. If you leave them on, number one, you can kind of pay attention and see, what are y'all hating on exactly? Like, is it something that's actually valid? Is it a misconception? Because maybe then there's an issue with our messaging that we need to address. And even like, if it's just pure hate that's unfounded at all, cool. I would rather get engagement from my hate than them go give it to somebody else. Like, if I'm going to have to deal with you hating on me, I would at least like to reap the benefits of the engagement. But also, what I'll say is do the work. And this isn't something that I've said before because it's like can be a little controversial, but like, positivity on social media does not work the way that you think it does. There are so many brands that I know that are like, we want to be positive. We want to be positive. And really, we want to promote positivity. And their way of doing that is by acting like the world is sunshine, bubbles, and rainbows all the time. But it's not. The way that you promote positivity is to fight negativity. Positivity is not the absence of negativity, it is something that overwhelms negativity. So if you want to be positive, you're going to have to fight some negative things. If you want to be about something that's positive, you're going to have to fight for it. And that just is what it is. If you don't want to do that, if you don't want to invest brand resources in that, find a different core value to pick from. You got to fight for that because there are some people that don't think everybody is welcome in certain spaces.
Yeah. Especially, I feel the same way when Hispanic Heritage Month, my emails are blowing up. And then my response to all of them is literally, I hope that we can partner again in January and also maybe in March and April when Hispanic Heritage Month is not going on. And also, what are you actually doing to support my community? Because the truth is, like, I'm not going to be your next Latina token. And that's token Latina. And then, like, that's what I think a lot of brands really miss out on. Is not just being part of a conversation, being part of a community, but what are you doing to defend and fight for that community, to make it a safe space for them so they can keep coming back to you. At the end of the day, that's what it is. It's loyalty. So, but even though there is a lot of, there's negative comments everywhere, negative and positive. But I really do think that the beauty with TikTok is that if you have a really engaged community is that your followers will come and fight for you too. Like, I find it so beautiful whenever someone leaves a negative comment, maybe something racist or whatever, and one of my posts and whatnot, and my followers come through, and I don't even have to respond back, because I know that someone will be out there defending me, and that's the beauty of community. It's that we have each other's back. So rather than seeing your comments as something that's intimidating, just make sure that you have your community's back, and hope that they have yours. It's a matter of just staying loyal to your community and making sure that you're standing up for them so that they can also do the same for you. It's a two-way relationship. It's like a two-way conversation.
Ultimately, I think this question and majority of what we've been talking about over the course of this discussion is about doing the work, because TikTok is a place where you will get a significant ROI and you will get literal earth shattering reach, but you have to do the work. In other places, you don't have to do the work. You can put a commercial on TV and say that you're doing whatever you want to say you're doing, and nobody's going to be able to hold you accountable and say, wait, you're not actually doing that. Do the one-way communication model, you can say whatever you want and nobody else really has the means to pull up on you for it or to say anything back to you for it. But in places like TikTok, in exchange for that amazing success that you're capable of having, you actually have to mean what you say and do what you say you're going to do. Just do the work. Just do the work.
If there's one thing that I want you to walk away from this conversation, that creators are experts, right? I mean, like, look at this panel with Andrea and Tony. They're representatives of our creator community, and you can see how plugged in they are to TikTok, to the communities, to the ways to engage with all sorts of unique audiences. And not only are they TikTok experts, but they are also all-in-one talent, right? They are writers, editors, producers, they're creative consultants, they are community specialists, they know how to respond to the comments and to manage the community on the platform. And so get set up on TTCM if you're not already on the platform. If you're overwhelmed by a self-serve platform, you can't do it on your own, you don't know where to get started, we also have creator marketing partners that can provide additional levels of managed services on top of TTCM. TTCM is powering these platforms as well, so you're getting all of that rich first-party data. And we're investing in a whole suite of solutions that are really focused on helping brands to connect with creators and make really engaging marketing campaigns.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all for your time today and for your thoughts on this topic. You're all so brilliant. I, agree with what Adrienne said. Tony and Andrea, you are just two of the smartest people I think I know ever. So that makes me feel thrilled to be in your
Thank you.
presence, but also insecure. So I gotta work through that on my own. If you are interested to hear more about the Creators Like Me study, we do have those research findings laid out more in depth. So keep an eye out for links and resources related to that. But I mean, honestly, Andrea and Tony and Adrienne are brilliant, and they really provided the types of insights that I think that brands need to show up in the spirit of creators and what creators have built on the platform. So thank you so much for your time, and we can't wait to see what you create with these insights.